How to crack the Chinese market, the top 5 challenges of doing business in China. Now, there are many challenges of doing business in China. A lot of people want to get into the Chinese market, but what are some of the things that you have to watch out for? That's what we're going to talk about today. So language, culture, localization, what else? What are some of the other challenges?
I think definitely government regulation.
Government
How
regulation.
to pass the government law and how to actually proper selling your product in China. That's very important.
Yeah. And this requires a lot of paperwork, and also requires that you have the right relationship. You got to know the right people. I'll give you an example. Even when my uncles and cousins are doing business in China, that they know the top guys in whatever they want to do within the government, right? And that's okay, they get stuff passed and stuff. But there are a couple of the smaller guys that they are not happy, right? So they're not part of it, and they feel they're not getting benefit. Just a couple of smaller guys, they could screw up the whole deal. That they could give you a very hard time. Very hard time. Because they're the one that's at the ground level, so that becomes a problem. Or as little as this division, this part of the government says yes, but you need paperwork from this, and this says no, and then you need government paperwork from this, and that becomes very challenging. Even for Chinese, to get some simple stuff done, like getting a certain license or that kind of stuff, right? It's very challenging.
I would say don't underestimate anyone in the government, their power. Don't ever underestimate.
Yeah, don't feel like I'm dealing with the top guys. They're my buddies, and then screw the little guys. The little guys can destroy you.
Yes.
They could absolutely destroy you. So
governmental relations definitely important. You look at Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone knows Facebook's been blocked out of China, among many other tech companies, and that doesn't stop him from learning Chinese, going to China regularly to talk to the officials, and continually building that relationship, hoping that one day Facebook would be available in China.
Working out Shanghai, Beijing, 我爱这个城市。我的中文很糟糕，但是我
Yeah, because Facebook at this point, there isn't anything, maybe 人人, but at this point, but it's pretty dead.
Yeah, it's really active now.
Yeah, so Facebook still has an opportunity. And Mark is smart. He knows that in order to enter the market, crack the Chinese market, right, you need to speak the language. So Mandarin, I think he's sending his kids to learn Mandarin too, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty smart.
He even had a meeting with the president of China.
Yeah, so that's good to develop those relationships. But definitely from all top to bottom, those relationships you gotta have. What I notice is not in North America. Okay, here's a big difference. In North America, relationship is important, but if you have a strong enough ability, you could get away with lacking some relationship. Example, if you're very good at what you do, world-class expert at your thing, at your field, people will seek you out, and you could get away with it. You get away with a lot of stuff. China, it doesn't matter how good you are. You can be the number one person in that. You don't have the relationships, nothing gets done. Nothing gets moved. You can't do anything. If you maybe have average ability, but you have some outstanding relationships, things get done. And that's how people make so much money. With no skills, no abilities, just with the right relationship, the right whatever, they secure some rights to sell something in that city, and it becomes a monopoly. It's like a license to print money, right? So it's a little bit of that. That's what I noticed too. What's the last challenge?
Proprietary.
Proprietary, yes.
So what we mean by that is you look at Uber, who actually was able to get into China.
That they got in.
Right?
Yeah.
They got in actually one of the first few.
Yeah.
Right? But eventually they left or got bought out by Didi. It was right now the biggest.
Kind of like the Uber in China.
The Uber of China. And when you have a product or service that's not proprietary, then you're lacking the other 4 elements that we talked about. You're lacking the localization, you're lacking the language, you're lacking all of those things.
And without the government protecting you, right?
With those lacking those relationships, then it's a very hard uphill battle, and it's easy for the local company to say, hey, I've got those relationships, I'm going to move 10 times faster than you. I also understand the market. Let me get everybody in and just kind of overtake that market a lot quicker than Uber was able to do. So unfortunately, they weren't able to, create an anchor in the China market. But that happens to a lot of other businesses too, where maybe they can go in, but
they don't stay in.
Exactly. Very slowly, they lose their shares and eventually they're booted out.
Knocked out by some Chinese company.
And also, it goes back to the government relationship, right? There are a lot of stuff that they could do. And unfortunately, in China, the whole copyright and I mean, they knock off your stuff so fast. You've got something working, I mean, they're copying it, they're duplicating. So it's not so much in North America, you have an innovative idea that you've got a great team, you've got capital, I can make it work. China is not like that. Doesn't matter you've got a great team, doesn't matter you've got a great product, they can knock it off so fast. I don't care what technology, whatever invention that you've got, they can knock it off. And then they can maybe talk to their friends in government to make sure that you don't get in or to kick you out. So there's nothing you can do. And when it comes to money, they could also get money. And money, just money on itself doesn't get stuff done. That's what I noticed. Here, you could hire people, but it's not like that. So relationship becomes so critical.
Actually, I do have a very strong story about this. Actually, there's a very big sunscreen lotion brand in Japan. It's from Shiseido, that big company. Right?
Big company.
There's one line just selling to just mainly focus on sunscreen lotion for women. Okay, and then that brand they have translated into Chinese, which has been popular for the past 5 or 6 years. Every girls all know it.
Yeah, online.
It's called, I think, I'm not 100% sure the English name. I think it's Anasa. But then the Chinese name is Annai Shai. And then that brand got really popular. And then people just talk about Annai Shai means, oh, I can just get this brand, right? But then turns out they didn't trademark in China.
They didn't trademark in China.
So a Chinese company trademarked that Chinese name in China, which is that brand cannot sell China with that name
They've been selling for 5 years. They cannot sell the name anymore, right? They got to come with some other name. So when you search online, you can't buy it online anymore. Even though owned by a big company, a big division. Like some of these, like the littlest, the dumbest mistakes that they could make, they can't see that. Like this kind of stuff you got to protect all the way, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Even look at Trump. Trump does not own a trademark in China. It's owned by some other dude, right? Trump, it's just as big as the freaking president. You can't do anything. They're like, screw you. You can't do anything. He doesn't own his trademark. Yeah. So imagine if he's putting up a building in China, he can't call it Trump. Oh. It's like the craziest thing.
Yes. Right? And it doesn't matter how big or small you are. You look at the small level. You look at Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Some of the really smart Chinese manufacturers, you can say smart, you can say a little bit, underhanded, but they regularly go on Kickstarter. They look at what projects have traction. Guess what? They're going to start manufacturing right away. They have their prototype because they share it with their people that fund their projects. And really, a lot of people have made a lot of money selling the products before the Kickstarter initial product was even launched.
Yes.
Officially,
so because you may not like it, you might not. Oh, that's unethical, or that's I don't agree the way that they do things. I don't agree either. But there's something to be learned from that. The speed that they can knock off a product and create something better. By the time your Kickstarter campaign, you are running it, you're trying to raise money. So you raise enough money to create a prototype, so many layers. But in China, they can do it so fast. By the time you're thinking, I'm going to raise enough money to make a white collar version of this. They're already making it in China in 10 different colors. By the time you have a prototype, they're already selling it. They might even be selling back to US.
I think
then how are you going to compete, right?
I think which I could give everyone another suggestion is before you bring any product to China, you got to be really careful because for Chinese investors, they're probably thinking, can I knock this off easily in China? Then I don't have to do a partnership with you. So you have to be very careful about that.
Yeah, and finding the partner that you can trust. And they'll tell you a good story, right? Oh yeah, we can sell a gazillion of this in China for you. I've got the distribution, I've got the relationship.
Yeah, just without you.
Just without you. That's what they're thinking. They want to get all your stuff and then to sell on their own. So a partner that you could trust, and also a partner that you know that you're proprietary, you're protected. Maybe you own the trademark, also own the trademark in China. Just protect yourself in any way possible. I think that's the most important. So that's how you crack the Chinese market. Those are the top 5 challenges. So think about those when you enter the market and just be very, very cautious. When there's big money, obviously there's big risk, also big opportunity. But you got to pay attention to details, find someone you can trust, hire a professional, just do your due diligence and investigation before you go into it and spend a lot of money. Okay. If you like this video, comment below. Ask us a question. We'll answer your question in future episodes, as I said, and we'll take those questions and make episodes and make shows based on those. And also click on the subscribe button, turn on notification, click on the bell button. On the left side, you see other videos that we've done about selling to China. We'll be continuing making videos. We upload a new video every single week, so stay tuned.